you talked about your relationship with your daughter, and you said, not sure the term you use. I guess you had to apologize or change because what you learned from your father, you were teaching your daughter, and you realized it was wrong. What was that?
My father, I had no idea at the time that he had a lot of unresolved anger from the way he was raised in the South, had to deal with a lot of racism,
Mhm.
and he carried that back to Detroit. And I mean, I remember one time, brother, he asked me, he ran a barber shop. He asked me just simply to cut the air on. I accidentally cut the heat on. I think I may have been 10 years old. He cursed me out in front of everybody in the barber shop.
Mm.
That right there uh, shattered my confidence as a man. It demeaned me, and it didn't stop there. He loved me, but he thought giving me gifts would suffice, and it didn't. I needed him to be active in my life, but he couldn't because of all the pain that he'd been through.
Um, what makes you think he loved you? Because he was your father? Like, it's not about dads being perfect. It's not. I don't. It's not about human. It's not about moms or dads or parents being perfect. But there are certain things that people do or don't do where I don't think you can love a person and treat them a certain way. If you ask me, so love is a lot of different things, and one of them is an action. And demeaning a child under any circumstances makes me think that he didn't really actually love you. And listening to this was really sad because he's just going to make a lot of excuses for his dad pretty much. And it's sad because he's old now. He's not I did this when I was in my 20s, but like, as I became, and especially after I had kids, I was like, what? I don't give a fuck what you went through. You had kids. You better figure that shit out.
Loved me, but he thought giving me gifts would suffice, and it didn't. I needed him to be active in my life, but he couldn't because of all the pain that he.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't because of all the pain. He wouldn't. He wouldn't be active in your life. Not he couldn't. Change that up. Not he couldn't. He wouldn't. He wouldn't. He could do it, but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't go seek the help that he needed to become a better person and a better parent and a better man. He wouldn't do that. He could have, but he didn't do it.
Been through. And so it's called intergenerational trauma, where you pass down what you've received. So before I knew it, this anger that he even had toward my mother, he said he told my mother one day they had gotten divorced, and she accidentally opened one of his letters with mail that came to the house. And here it is, I'm going to middle school, and my mother shows me her gun in her purse, and she says, your father just called and said he's going to do something to me because I opened his letter. So here it is as a young boy trying to focus in class.
And this man loved you. You're saying this is the man that loved you, the man that threatened to kill your mother for opening up his letter. This is the man that loved you. Okay. This is the man you defended, talking about, oh, he couldn't like, the excuses that we make for our fathers is crazy. This is wild. If this was your mama, you would hate this woman. You'll be a dog ass nigga, and you'll be blaming every shortcoming you had on your mama. But it's your daddy. I get it, daddy. He was mad because he experienced racism in the South.
I got to think about my mother's life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's how much anger my father had. And brother,
And that's how much little love he had for you and your mother. Yeah, anger was a part of it, but it's also he lacked love for you two.
I hope my transparency free some brothers listening or watching. It's like, you don't want to create a legacy of wounds. You want to fight and do whatever you can to get healed, because if not, now you're going to see that same behavior in your children. Then you're mad at them, and all they did was become who you were.
Other
That's
question.
why I think
So you recognize that now, but simultaneously making excuses for your father. You see what I'm saying? Like, he recognizes that he just said it right there. He said it perfectly. But before that, for the first minute and a half of this video, he was just making excuses for his daddy. His daddy threatened to kill his mama. He was like, that man loved me.
apologizing to your kids is so important, because that's something that I feel like I never got from my father. And I always say my father raised me out of fear and not love. And I think that's what we gotta avoid doing. We gotta raise our kids out of love and not fear.
Yes,
The fear of
absolutely.
that they might end up, falling victim to the street, or end up if we were in the street doing the same things that we were doing. Like we gotta relinquish that.
That's true. I call it fear-based parenting. My mother was that way, which is understandably, I understand why she was, because she just lost a son. And then my other brother from my father, he was murdered. So she was terrified that I would die the same way. And because of that fear, she had checked out, meaning the affirmation that you typically get from your mother, the nurturing. I didn't get that. My mother loved me. Like everyone who knew my mother knew she loved me. But I realized in therapy, one session, when the therapist asked me, who would get the Band-Aid when you got hurt? And I said, I would. My mother would just tell me where it was. And in that moment, I realized, man, this is why I'm misusing women, because I never understood the importance of having my mother, the
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm sorry. That's not funny. It's just funny because I haven't watched this. I've told you guys this before. I don't watch these whole videos on purpose. I don't watch the whole video all the time. Certain videos I do because I need to, but a lot of this stuff I like to react to in real time so you get my genuine reaction, right? So it's not like robotic or whatever. But okay. Okay. So what did I say earlier? I said if this was his mother, he would be blaming how he treats women on his mother. Right? That I said, this is exactly, oh my God, that's exactly what I said would happen. And what is he doing? Blaming women for how his mother raised him. I knew it.
I'm misusing women because I never understood the importance of having my mother, the understanding of what nurturing is, the value.
Why is that your mother's fault? Why is that not your father's fault? Why is that you just say your daddy tried to, not tried, but threatened to kill your mother for opening up a letter. You don't think that's where you got learning that you don't think that's where you got how you treat women from? You don't think that what? You think it came from the fact that your mama didn't get you a fucking Band-Aid? But she told you where it was, so she was there? Oh, okay. My God, that couldn't have been any more perfect. I don't think you guys understand. That was crazy. That was right on fucking time.
With the affirmation, and I unpacked the mother wound as well in that book, because many of us, what we're seeking is the love from our mothers and women, and they'll never be able to match what we.
No. You have a daddy wound. You have a daddy wound, not a mother wound. Your mother wasn't perfect, but you don't have a mother wound. You have a daddy wound. You have a daddy wound. This is crazy. All the shit you just said about your dad. You said your daddy called you everything but a child of God at the barbershop for cutting the heat on and not the AC. You said your daddy threatened to kill your fucking mama for opening up her letter. Then you said that your mama didn't fucking give you a Band-Aid and that's why you abusing women. Like, what? What? A mommy wound? No, sir. No, that's not what's going on. Sorry.
Well, in that book, because many of us, what we're seeking is the love from our mothers and women, and they'll never be able to match what we didn't get.
Yeah.
What you're seeking is validation from other men. And what happens is in a patriarchy, a way for you to get validation from other men is to abuse women. Sadly, a way for you to get validation within the patriarchy is for you to abuse women, like have a bunch of women, not give a fuck about women, homies over hoes, that type of shit, right? That is how you get validation from men. You're seeking validation from men. When you hurt women, you are seeking validation from men. You don't like women because of the shit that men did to you, because of the things that men told you. You need nurturing from man and woman. You need your father to be nurturing just like you need your mother to be nurturing. So if neither were nurturing, how do you blame your mother? That's crazy. That's why I'll be honest with y'all. I'm not a fan of Jason Wilson. I've done a few videos of his. I think this dude's pseudo-intellectual at best. But I think he's actually insidious. I think this is insidious shit. I think this is wild. This is benevolent misogyny. Like, this is disgusting to me. Listening to this is because it's like he said, oh, I hope I could release some brothers and da-da-da-da-da. Tell him to talk about talk about masculinity. Talk about how that is the thing that's actually destroying you in this instance. Not the fact that your mom wasn't more nurturing. That's not what it is, brother.
And it's unfair to them. And so I had to unpack all of that, brother, because I didn't want to transfer that on
You ain't unpack shit.
to my children. And so I've allowed myself to be more tender in that area. My son by far has the best father, because I've become the
You still misogynistic as fuck.
embodiment of what I teach. And so to your point, yeah, it's absolutely important for us as parents to not be fear-based, especially my son's he's driving now. Why do I have to teach him how to get pulled over by the police? Why am I focused on that? What is that teaching him? Is that really making it better, or is it making it worse when he gets
100%. Now, this part I agree with, because I remember having this discussion a long time ago. I was like, I'm not going to teach my kids, like, you got to fear the police. I'm not going to teach them that. I'm going to teach them how to be respectful. I'm going to teach them how to, be firm and things of that nature. I'm not going to teach them like, you gotta keep your eyes down and be like, no, sir. Yes, sir. Da-da-da. I'm not teaching my sons how to be no badass, Billy badass or whatever. I ain't going to do that. But I'm definitely not about to teach them niggas to be afraid. That's crazy.
pulled over? But those are the things, we have to teach in our community. But at the end of the day, making sure you balance that with some positive reinforcement and to teach them that how to live in the moment. Because when we teach our children, we got to understand we're also teaching them how to miss the moment, because they're programming themselves like, okay, if this happened, this probably gonna happen because that happened to dad, that happened to mom, it's probably gonna happen to me. And so in that moment, if they're not open to be able to meet the moment, to do what's necessary, they may fail in that moment.
A whole lot of nothing at the end. I don't know what that was. But anyway, yeah, that right there is a prime example of how men will excuse all the most problematic, all the most dastardly deeds that they daddies did, while blaming their mama for not giving them a fucking Band-Aid and saying that's the reason why they dogging all these women out. I couldn't have teed that up any better. Like, I swear, like, I don't think you guys understand that I did not plan that one bit. I swear to you, I didn't. It was just, that was amazing. Like, I didn't think it would happen because he was talking about his dad. I didn't think he was going to bring up his mom, to be honest with you. Not in this context. Not in the context he did. I mean, I like, that's I knew that's all men do. We excuse everything our fathers did and blame our mothers for everything that our fathers did to us. We blame our mothers for the things that our mothers did, and we blame our mothers for the things our fathers did. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's okay to blame your mom for not being nurturing. It's okay to blame your mom for her shortcomings as well. That's fine. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm okay with that. Right? But what we do is we compound that by we take some of the things that our dad did, or most of the stuff that our dad did, and we bring that baggage into our relationships with our mothers, because they're the ones who stayed, and they're women. And we make excuses for men because, they're men. Boys will be boys, men will be men, whatever you want to say. That's what we do it for. And we're men. So we can identify with them. I mean, I ain't the most perfect nigga in the planet. I know I done did my dirt. So maybe he ain't all bad, because I know I've been a dirty nigga, and that's what we do. That's what's going on. So instead of doing that, what I'm saying is men, you and me, we need to unpack our daddy wounds. It's our fathers that abandoned us. It's our fathers that were violent. It's our fathers that never nurtured us. My mom nurtured me. Could she been more nurturing? Yes. Was my father nurturing? No. Why wasn't he nurturing? Because he wasn't there. Had he been there, he would have been nurturing. He isn't nurturing. I mean, he was, when we were around each other, he was nurturing. He would always give me positive words of, words of affirmation. He would always drop a gem off on me, right? And give me some game or whatever the case may be. And I ain't talking about to run on women. I'm saying, some knowledge. He would always do that. He would always suggest a book for me to read, or we would read a book together. You know what I'm saying? He would always give me play a good song for me to listen to. Some, you know what I mean? He would just say he had that. Now, I'm not gonna say that I'm not saying that all my experiences with my dad were bad or anything like that, but what happened was when I got older, I saw that a lot of that was rooted in manipulation, right? But I didn't know it at the time. You know what I'm saying? If my dad was right, though, if he had his hair right, he would have been a more nurturing parent, probably than even my mom was. But I can say the same thing about my mom. If my mom had her hair right, she would have been a more nurturing parent. But a lot of the reason her hair wasn't right was because of the shit my dad did to her. My dad's hair wasn't right for some shit that his dad did to him or some other man in the community did to him. But none of them, neither one of them took the time to heal themselves up. That's the problem. That's where I hold them accountable individually and collectively. But I would never, ever, ever, never a day, not one more day in my life will I ever blame my mama for the shit that my daddy did. That shit died 10 years ago with me. I'm good. Maybe longer than that. It was more than that. It was closer to, it was about 10 years ago. I'll say 10 or 12 years ago. Yeah, I'm done with that. We're not doing that no more in 2025. We are not blaming our mothers for the shit that our fathers did to us. That has to stop today.